There is no doubt that Donald Trump is reordering the world. The global order, as they call it, is under threat by the President of the United States. Let's go to Dan Schnur, who's a US political analyst, to talk about from California. He's had him on the show last year in the studio when he was visiting New Zealand. And Dan, it's great to have you back this morning.
Well, thank you so much for having me back. I really appreciate it.
Dan, I want to start with, there was a report from the Pentagon that came out at the weekend, which I found fascinating because it really speaks to what Trump is trying to do, I think, with America. And this report was saying, my reading of it, stick to your sphere. So Europe, you need to look after Russia. Didn't mention Taiwan at all. South Korea, you need to look after North Korea, and we'll take care of, the Arctic, we'll take care of the Western Hemisphere. This is quite a shift for the United States. My question to you is, do you think we should take this as a long-term American strategy, or is this just a change for now from Trump that can be undone later?
I think it's worth looking for guidance as to the exchange that Trump has been having with European leaders over the last several days as it relates to the island of Greenland. And one of the things that I'm sure you've noticed is how many members of the United States Congress, not only Democrats but Republicans, have journeyed to Denmark and otherwise communicated with European leaders that they did not support the type of aggressive action that Trump was threatening last week. So while there are certainly growing isolationist tendencies in our country, as you and I talked about last month, there is a very pronounced split, again, not only in American politics, but within Trump's own Republican Party, as to the advisability of this type of retrenchment. So it's something to take seriously, but know that by no means is a unilateral U.S. support for this type of step.
Tell us, for those who aren't massively familiar with Greenland, what exactly it is that Trump wants. Is it minerals under the ground? Is it trade routes? Or is it this golden dome and its strategic position, how far it is from Russia, how far the missiles can go to get to America? Or is it kind of a combination of all of those things?
It's somewhat of a combination of all of those things. And I didn't mean to switch topics on you, but I know how well educated your audience is. And so I guess the point I was trying to make is that while Trump went to the World Economic Summit last week, potentially threatening military action, and if not, demanding the sale of Greenland from Denmark to the US. By the time he left, he had settled for something much less ambitious. I do believe he is interested in those minerals. I do believe he's interested in the US's national security considerations. But Denmark and Greenland had offered him those things. So a growing suspicion in our country is that Trump simply saw this as a very significant large land acquisition, which would allow him to go down in history as someone who expanded our country by such a considerable amount.
And that's clearly not going to happen. And we're not even really sure about what he's got out of it.
Precisely. The specifics of the deal are not done, but after he met with NATO's leaders, it was very clear that what he had originally demanded was not going to be the outcome. And I bring this up as a reassurance to our friends in New Zealand and throughout the Pacific Rim that while this is something that Trump and his top advisors believe very strongly, that the US should now be prioritizing the Western Hemisphere and perhaps spending less time on the Pacific Rim. Once again, there's no indication whatsoever that there's broad support in US politics for such a step. And if you look at the statement that Trump made just yesterday to Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, when Canada signed its own trade agreement with China, Trump said, and I quote, "China will eat Canada alive, completely devour it, including destroying Canadian business, social fabric, and way of life if such a deal goes forward." So this does not sound to me like an American president who has any illusions about China. And I suspect underneath some of the more bellicose language, the US's commitment to your region still maintains intact.